Dwight Beougher has dedicated his life to serving the U.S. feed industry and agriculture. His love of farming started when he was a young child.
Well, I got started in the agricultural industry actually with the good fortune of having grown up on a farm. We had a 250-acre operation in Pickaway County, about 10 miles southeast of Circleville. I was very fortunate to have parents that were very committed to community activities. They were members of the local Grange. They were members of the local Farm Bureau. They belonged to many civic organizations, very strong in the local church and things like that.
Dwight attended The Ohio State University, where he earned a bachelor's degree in animal science.
It had always been my intention to go back to the farm. But with the war in Vietnam and everything else going on, there was a lot of chaos with a lot of people. Things just did not work out for me to go back to the farm. And one of the things that I had done was that I had gone and talked to a gentleman by the name of George Greenleaf, who was the executive secretary and vice president of the Ohio Feed and Grain Dealers Association. And having grown up on the farm, worked with livestock, I thought maybe getting into the feed business might be something of interest. I also left there and went down to Asheville, Ohio, and talked to a gentleman by the name of Ralph Barr. And Ralph, of course, had quite a few years' experience in the feed industry. And he made the comment to me, he said, Dwight, he said, I'll tell you one thing. He said, if you go into the feed industry, he says, you'll never be a rich man in terms of money. But you will be a rich man in terms of people, because he said, you will meet lots of good people. And he was right with that factor.
In 1963, Dwight began working at Allied Mills Incorporated, a major research and animal feed manufacturer. While being engaged directly in product sales, much of his time was applied to teaching dealers and employees good manufacturing practices and animal husbandry. After 2 decades with Allied Mills, Dwight and his wife Jane entered the retail feed and farm supply business by buying a feed mill in Plain City, Ohio.
It was one of those things that our timing could not have been worse. The 70s were really good times for most farmers. Corn prices, soybean prices went to the point that you could almost go out there and plant the seed and say that you're making money by accident, because it had almost doubled to what it had been. But the problem was because of that, everyone was being encouraged to buy more equipment, more land. They were getting so highly leveraged, and this was being encouraged by a lot of our lending institutions and so forth. And people were getting to the point of getting overextended. And again, there's a lot of people in the room here would not know what 21% interest rates were. But by 1981 and 82, interest rates got up to 21%. And you know and I know that if you're highly leveraged, there's no way that you can sustain all the loans that they had out and all that. We worked out a survival plan. And that survival plan obviously meant that we had to make ourselves leaner. We had to work smarter, become more diversified, and find ways to gain new customers that we were not dealing with out on the farm.
Soon after the Plain City feed mill purchase, Dwight and his wife opened DJ's Feed Store in uptown Westerville.
We leased 1,000 square feet back in the alley, and the first thing I heard from the Merchants Association was a feed store in uptown Westerville. Are you kidding me? And I heard the comment many times that no way in the world that's ever going to survive. Well, I would call this a real success because it was there 30 years.
A born leader, Dwight has always believed in being active related to his business. He served 9 years on the board of the Ohio Feed and Grain Dealers Association, 7 of which were as chairman of the Ohio Feed Committee. He was also instrumental in rewriting the Ohio feed law, which had not been done for 40 years. Dwight's leadership and people skills continue to help him immensely since selling his feed business.
You know, when I sold the store in Plain City, a friend of mine suggested that I ought to move my Farm Bureau membership from where I was listed to Franklin County. And I said, well, why would I want to do that? And he said something like, well, you know, we have a lot of fun over in Franklin County. So I did change my membership. And when I went to the what they call the new member meeting, I got a tap on my shoulder that night, and the person said to me, you know, we got a spot open on our board. Would you by chance consider that? So I gave him a yes, and that was like 16 years ago. And I have been involved with Farm Bureau ever since. I've served Franklin County 7 years as president, served in many other capacities. And to me, it was, as an individual, it was a wonderful opportunity because it actually became my third career.
Recognizing the need to create better communication between farmers and consumers, Dwight developed the idea of holding a breakfast in which consumers could learn where their food comes from.
So I sat down, put together a program, actually went out and tried to solicit a good farm operation to do this. And my intention was to hold a on-the-farm breakfast serving made-to-order omelets. We would do it in a tent in a cow pasture. And so this is sort of a way-out idea, but it sounded like a lot of fun, and it sounded to me doable. So at the next board meeting, I presented this to our board. We have a board of 12 members, and I said, well, you know, I've got the farm. He has not given me a yes, but he's not given me a no. So since he hasn't given me a no, that means we can probably get in there. So they gave me the okay to go ahead and put this program together. Total shot in the dark. We had no idea what we would get. We had 600 people show up to that first breakfast on the farm.
The program has now grown into more than 2,000 attendees each year and has earned national recognition. Throughout his career, Dwight's passion, knowledge, and expertise have earned him much respect in the industry. Although now retired, Dwight continues to engage and share the story about his favorite subject, agriculture. We are happy to welcome Dwight Beougher into the Ohio Agricultural Hall of Fame.